So we're going to start off the daily time frame. We're going to look exactly how price reacted from yesterday and what we can expect from price today. So yesterday we noticed a daily candle, right? We pretty much closed as an undecision candle. We had a move towards the downside and a move towards the upside, right? So on the daily time frame, we did remain underneath these exact levels right over here, which is the 45.40, right? So on the 4-hour time frame, the 45.40 is this exact level right over here that I did explain on the previous breakdown video, right? I did explain that we may see some type of bearish reaction since price is coming back towards these exact 4-hour imbalance areas, right? And if you guys look on here on Tuesday from last week, we did see some bearish action. Price came back over here once again during the New York session of yesterday. This is exactly the place that we took the loss, right? Price ended up rejecting these levels. Look on the 4-hour time frame how price just pretty much rejected and maintained underneath these levels, and we end up selling off, right? So going into the hourly time frame, you guys can kind of see how price was just choppy, right? We had a push towards the upside, price came back over here, and then we had a nice push back towards the upside, right? Now looking at it from a hourly time frame, you guys can see the trend. We just been creating higher highs and higher lows. So on the hourly time frame, we did see this drop right over here that happened last week on Thursday, right? So we just marked these levels. You guys can see in the past, it was a nice area of demand where we did had a nice pushback towards the upside on the previous week, right? Now, here, this was all happening on Friday to Sunday. You guys can kind of see this level of support that was built up right here, right? So you guys can see the trend. We had a nice push towards the downside. We have a low, we have a high, a higher low, and then we had a new higher highs. Price came back, retested the exact area of support, higher highs or higher lows, and then back towards the upside, created a new higher high. Price had a push back towards the downside, creating a new higher low. This level right here was rejected from yesterday, Asia session. You guys look towards the left side. What do we see? Area of support. And then we had a nice push back towards the upside, creating a new higher high. So if you guys look at the trend on the hourly and the trend on the 30-minute time frame, was just this exact pattern. We're perfectly creating higher highs and higher low structure, right? Now, there's no clean price action yet on the 4-hour time frame, right? So we're not really able to benefit off this exact push towards the upside, right? Because there's many things that is going on, and we want to be taking trade that up zone that actually makes sense, right? If you guys understand what I'm saying. Here on the 4-hour time frame, right? Notice the wicks, right? We're not going to be taking trade out of the session, right? We're only going to be taking trade that during our session if we get our setup, right? So here, after this nice push that happened yesterday on the Asia session, right? Remember that we were looking for buys above these highs here, and we're also looking for buys above the 15-minute zone, which is this exact level, where I was interested in taking buys in the early New York session, which is right over here. And notice how we had a nice candle, but I was not going to be chasing this candle. It was just one huge candle towards the upside. So notice how on the 5-minute, we never got an entry because realistically we were underneath here. So I'm not going to be taking trade if we're underneath in the key level here. I want the price to be above it, right? Like a nice closure above here, like above these highs. So I was not going to chase these candles here, right? So you guys look in the 5-minute time frame, it was just pushing higher, 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 right? If you guys look in the 15, if I would have entered trade here, our stop loss would have probably been underneath here. Notice how it was not going to be a good risk to reward trade. Right, we would have hit take profit 3, but our goal right now for this end of this week, which today is the last day of the trading week, I want to be taking trade that actually makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, right, why we're going to be taking it. So that was something that I was keeping an eye on from yesterday. That was a setup that I did not want to take, so we avoided taking a trade during the Asian session and during the London session. Now, another thing I want to go over is exactly this one. Notice how price, right, we just broke towards the upside on the hourly time frame. We broke above these highs here, and we also broke above these highs right over here, right? Now check this out. Price is not coming towards these imbalance area on the 4-hour time frame, which is the same exact as the levels. Let's just put this in red. The same exact level that happened that we have here and that we have here. So remember, pretty much price is trying to recover, technical trying to recover from this exact move that happened on the previous week. So right now we had a reaction from this one. If you guys look on the 4-hour time frame, how we had a nice liquidity sweep towards the upside. And then notice how the EMA, as of right now on the 4-hour time frame, we're kind of trading, or the VWAP, right? We're trading up underneath the candles, which is showing bullish volume. Technical, you guys go into the hourly time frame, right? We're now creating that higher low right over here. And this higher low is not just a random higher low, right? You guys can go on the 30-minute time frame, and we're pretty much reacting off this exact bullish imbalance zone, which is this gray box. Price is reacting off this exact imbalance. So you guys can see a nice push, pullback. We retested it multiple times. We got the sweep of all of these entire lows, and now we're having a nice push towards the upside. And then we're actually trading above these highs here on the hourly time frame. You see all these highs right here on the yellow box? That's exactly the high that we're trading at. Now, there's no entry signal yet for us because we want to wait for price to actually close above and inverse this 15-minute bearish candle here. So as you guys can see, we so far have rejected it, right? And technically wise, right, we are respecting every bullish structure that we want to see, but we're just waiting for our entry signal. I'm not going to be taking a trade here because again, we rejected this, and I do not want to be taking a trade at a random zone. I'd rather wait for a proper breakout. So if I'm going to be looking for a long position today, I'm going to be waiting for price to be above here or for price to be above right over here. Now, if we continue selling off and we enter this exact zone, I'm not going to be taking any trade. But the only level that I will be interested in taking a trade will simply be a candle closure, 30-minute hourly candle closure underneath the 45.41. So if we do get a nice rejection from all of this, exactly how price is doing here, but we start printing bearish price action, then underneath here is where I'll be taking sells, 45.40, and then we can write it down here, and then we can probably even take it down even lower, right? But that's exactly what I'm going to be waiting for today. Right now, we're going to stay out until we get exactly what we want, right? So we need to close above here on the 15-minute time frame, a nice bullish candle. So something like this, just like that. So that's what I'm going to be waiting for today. I'll keep you guys updated.